Hey, everybody. Welcome to NiteLife Exchanges, where we get together and chat about things happening in the cabaret world and in the piano bar world and the nightlife world. And I can't do it alone. I have to bring on my co-host here for NiteLife Exchanges. So, Tony, come on.
Here I am, ready to talk about all these worlds, all these
Oh,
different nightlife worlds you're talking about.
plates is spinning, baby. The plates is spinning. So before we do anything, I'm going to take an advertising moment, though we're not getting paid anything for promoting this book. But the gentleman who wrote the book has done so much and laid so much groundwork for the world that we live in today. The shows that he did earlier in the 70s and all the way through, he still works. So I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to let everybody know. Leading Lady. All right, that's Charles Bush. Now, I'm reading it. I'm enjoying it. Everybody else that I know that's reading it is raving about it, finding out stuff that we didn't know, because there's a lot in there. And you can get it at a bookstore, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, do those still exist, the bookstore?
They do. They really do.
You need to find it. You go on your Google machine and put in bookstore near me. And that'll tell you where to go. Otherwise, I got mine from Amazon.
Your finger's on the pulse of all things technological, Scott.
Listen,
how do you do it?
It's not easy, is all I can tell you. It's not easy. So everything else has been going well. I had a big wedding I went to on Sunday. We know Ryan Patrick Smith as also Rosetta Stone. We have had him. He was on Piano Bar Live a few times, and he's married. None of these people are these are not the people that got married. These are all guests, all staff from Ellen Stardust Diner. It was a big crowd of Ellen Stardust Diner people there. The music was incredible, the vocals, and there's a lot of talent in this photo. Amazing amount of talent. So I had a really good time, and I watched Ryan Patrick Smith and Sarah Cockle get hitched. They got hitched.
Mazel tov.
Yes, it makes me happy because, sometimes the right people decide to get married.
Sometimes they do.
It happens.
It does. So
today, here we are, and we have a great guest coming on. She's an old friend. I know I use the word old all the time, but these are all old friends of mine. I've known them for a while. So it's Goldie Dver is going to be on, and before we bring her on, we want to see a little something of what she's been delivering at Don't Tell Mama the last couple of months. She's got a show going on called Bridges, and she's building it. So let's take a look at that.
Yes, deliver she does. Enjoy.
My friends from college, they're all married now. They have their houses and their lawns. They have their silent news, tearful nights, angry dawn. Their children hate them for the things they're not. They hate themselves for what they are. And yet they drink, they laugh, close the wounds, hide the scars.
They don't write them like that anymore. And
no, they don't.
And it takes the right kind of person and the person that really finds that way of delivering it. And you do. You have. Saw the show. Bridges, a great show. So, hi, Goldie.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Welcome.
Doing good.
Doing great.
And Scott, thank you for saying that. And thank you for inviting me on. For that song in particular, it's a Carly Simon song. And what I find interesting about Carly Simon, she is really an amazing lyricist. And I think people don't normally pick up on that as much as they do as her as a pop writer, because all of her songs are done in that beautiful pop sound that she has. and people sort of listen to the groove of the song. But when you really listen to the lyric, that woman knows how to write stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and her poppiest, whatever that is, you know, the biggest hits. It's
Yeah.
great. It's great lyric writing.
Yes.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the period in time that she was writing in, and music from that period in time. The story is to try and move the world in a better direction, and to be, educate and be a part of the change that took place. And I was there. Goldie was there. Tony, you were a little younger, but a lot was happening in the '60s and the '70s, and you've captured a lot of that in the music that you do, Goldie, and that's really important because, again, they don't write them like that anymore, and we don't hear them like that. So people can see you at Don't Tell Mama, and getting younger people in there is really an important thing. So tell us a little bit about how you were gone for a little while, and then you put together this show and came back, and you've been at Mama's. What started you to make the decision to get back on the stage and do the CD and then the show?
Okay. I had a whole career in cabaret in the late 80s, the 90s, into the 2000s. In fact, 2002, Jamie Beaman, David Maiocco, and I did a show called Crazy World, which was a review of Leslie Bricusse music. And
Right.
we won the Mac Award that year for Best Review. And so it was, wonderful. Mac Awards, fabulous. And then I got breast cancer in 2006. And I sort of left the earth for about 9 months with treatment. And then my husband, Paul, got sick with cancer and some kidney issues and some other things right after that. So it just turned out that life just sort of had other plans. And I stopped singing for 10 years. And the only thing I did, I was still on the Joey Reynolds Show, which is something we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah.
But I did some performances, some appearances in other people's shows and shows at the Friars Club, things like that. But I didn't do a show. I really sort of stopped performing. And then Paul passed away in August of 2018. And Jamie, whom I've known for 25 years,
Right.
and we worked together off and on through the years as well, he suggested that I get back on stage. And we developed a show that was called, I only knew two things when we developed that show. I knew I wanted to do it back at Mama's, which had always been my home. I had worked most of the rooms around town, but Mama's was always my home. And I wanted to call the show Back in Mama's Arms. So we developed that show, and that and a good therapist they were the two things that really helped me deal with losing Paul after being together with him for 41 years. We were married 34, but we were together 41. And that got me through that first year, which anyone who's gone through a loss or a crisis, that first year can be a little rough. It's now 5 years later. So we did that show in 2019, got wonderful reviews for it. It did everything I wanted and needed it to do. Then, good old little thing called COVID, hit the world. And
Mother Nature screwed with us.
Yeah. And, so the world sort of stopped.
Yeah.
And in the fall of 2020, I found the recording studio with Chip Fabrizi and started recording for the first time in the studio. And that is what brought me back personally from my sort of COVID coma.
Right.
And
Put together a CD.
to start recording the CD. The initial concept was to just do the studio version of that show, Back in Mama's Arms. Mm-hmm. But as I started to learn all the magic that you can do in the studio and work with Chip Fabrizi, who I call the wizard, because if there's certain things in the mix that I want to hear, I just say, I want this like a little louder here or a little softer, or can we just mellow that? And I just tell him what I want to hear, and he knows what to do to make it happen. And I've learned a lot too. And this has been a process. Great. And this is now that new CD that I just launched launching my first CD at 68. I mean, I'm going to be 69 next week. 1010.
You
Yeah.
don't have to.
You know what, Scott?
Fabulous. Show that CD cover. Let's see how good you look on that CD cover.
Oh,
There we
let me
go.
bring it up.
Oh,
Let me
there
bring it
you
up.
go.
You know, I
There
used
you
to
go.
be. There she is.
There she is, looking fabulous.
A sweet beginning.
It is because that's the last cut on the album, and that's why we decided to name it Sweet Beginning, because it is a new beginning, yet at 68. And I used to be sort of a little cagey about my age and all of this stuff, but at this point, I feel I've earned every goddamn year,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of it. So, yeah, going to be
There
60.
does come a point in time where you just take it and you enjoy it. And
Absolutely.
I've
Well,
reached
and
that level as well.
not everyone gets to have, because Scott's been being kind of italicizing the fact that he talks about all of his old friends. It's because we're lucky.
That's
We-
right.
That shared
We are.
history, a shared history is everything. And boy, once you have that, once you kind of sit back and go, I've known you for how long? Then suddenly the cascade happens. And you're like, wow, not everyone gets the privilege.
Oh, that's right. I mean, Scott, how long has it been? It's been like 40 years.
I've known you for about 40. Well, yeah, I
Maybe.
think so.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I think we first met through Joey Reynolds on the Joey Reynolds Show.
Maybe we met through Mac first at some point in time. I think we were in the same rooms together at times.
Yeah. And I used to.
You know what? That's the other thing, is that we don't, like, it's a long history, and in and out of, one thing about this world that we're in, it's really small. You see so many of the same people.
It is. And that's why, I think you need to be. You need to be honest. You need to be good. You need to people. You need to be authentic.
Yeah.
I don't fudge it anymore. I don't lie. I don't fudge it for a couple of reasons. First of all, it takes too much energy. Second of all, who wants to try to remember what you said to this one or that one about this or that? Third of all, life's too short. And I will never say something I don't feel. If I don't really feel something, I just won't say it.
When you tell the truth,
yeah.
When you tell the truth, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And fourth of all, people tend to realize that nowadays that's findable. Age is something, if people really want to know, they're going to know.
Oh,
so hopefully that'll, allow us to kind of be free about it.
Yeah.
You know
what I say? Every day you wake up to bitch about something, it's a good day.
That's right. And you know what? Also, though, the other thing is that where you're from, because you're a Philly girl.
That's right.
And I'm a Brooklyn boy. And, there are certain places in the world like Boston, New York, Brooklyn, particularly Philadelphia, where we had, there was a certain character of the people that come from there. And I miss that in a lot of ways, because a lot of places it just got so homogenized that you don't get that little bit of extra something that we have. Pittsburgh's another town where they say something. I met some people from Boston at Ellen's one day a few weeks ago, and the one woman they were both talking at me, and the one woman indicated her partner that was with her, and she said, "Ain't no flies landing on this one." And I'm, "Ain't no flies landing on this one." I love it.
Right.
That's, just the way that we spoke and the attitude.
That's
and you have a great one. You got a great Philly attitude.
Well,
bring in the flavor.
Yeah. I never really had a true Philly accent, which I am grateful for. But
Myra had one.
Myra still has a Philadelphia accent.
On.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You going? Come on, let's go.
Yeah. Myra was
heavy Philly accents. They don't know from an ing. Everything is in. Yeah.
Myra was Joey Reynolds' producer / mama, I guess. Mama-san, I guess. Because Joey Reynolds on WOR, everybody, for years, you, Paul, Joey, that was the entertainment. Sydney Meyer, that was the Friday night, the Jewish Hour.
The Jewish Hour. That
show went longer than an hour.
It went from midnight to 2 a.m.
That's like a Jewish goodbye, right? It takes
Exactly.
2 hours to get out of a room.
The Jewish
Yeah.
hour has to take 2 hours. You know, it's written in the Talmud. But yeah, and so when people would ask me what's the Jewish hour like, I would say it's like the dysfunctional family sitting around the dinner table bitching. And the people you mentioned, Myra Channon, Mickey Freeman, my husband Paul Dver, myself, and Sidney Meyer, we were the 5 regular dysfunctional family members. And, you know, I was the one who actually brought Sidney on that show. Because when I used to work Mama's, remember when Sidney's office was upstairs in the room that is now the Brick Room?
Yes.
He used to, after hours, when he was working, taking care of the book, whatever he did after hours there, he would listen to Joey Reynolds overnight. And he would listen to the Jewish Hour. And I'd go hang with Sidney in his office, and he would say to me, Goldie, tell me the truth. When Joey and Paul are fighting, are they like really mad at each other, or is it for the show? And I told him it's sort of half and half. They know they're doing a radio show, but yeah, I mean, Joey is really getting, because Paul's role on that show was to be the thorn in Joey's side. And he did that without even breathing hard. And
no, they definitely had that thing going on for sure.
Yeah. So
I'm the thorn here.
You're a very nice thorn, though. Tony, I think you have to get a little more edge if you're going to be a true thorn.
Yeah.
All right. I'll work on it.
I've seen Tony. Tony stays pretty calm and cool and collected, but there have been moments where usually it's because of me.
Okay.
You know, things happen like anything. So listen,
I can see that.
With everything that's happened over the years, so happy that you're back. New beginnings.
Oh, me too.
The show. You have the show again, October. I don't want anybody to forget. October 8th at Don't Tell Mama. That, you know, Don't Tell Mom is a home for so many of us. When I first started working in the business 40 years ago, and I first got my foot in the door of certain places, I actually polished all the mirrors in the back room at Don't Tell Mom.
Are you serious?
Yes, that was one of the things I was hired for. And boy, there's a lot of mirrors back there.
There certainly are. That back room, oh my goodness.
Only one room then. So, you know, Mama's is a great place to land and be back, and we support them, you know, everything that they do over there. And Sydney is still there, you know, Sydney makes it happen.
There. And now Tanya Moberly is also there booking.
Tanya's wonderful.
Tanya is my guest in this show. She's my special guest. She comes and rocks the house out with a solo, and then
I saw her do that.
Yeah, and
James Beaman is directing, right?
Jamie is the director. I have Michael Roberts as my musical director, and my band is like hot, guys. I have John Miller on bass, I have Chip Fabrizi on drums, and I have Mark Dane, who plays amazing guitar, and he also doubles on saxophone. That is like the weirdest kind of a double for a musician to do.
That's perfect, though.
Wow, it's a one-man band.
That helps.
A great band. And Tanya comes on too. It's really a fun show. The music it's great. I'm doing a lot of different types of songs in this show than I have done in the past, but songs that I have always identified with. And as you mentioned before, with the 60s and 70s, that's sort of the whole theme of this show, that 50 years ago, we were going through all this turmoil and upheaval and, you know, political unrest and racial unrest and war in Vietnam. And we fought for Roe v. Wade. And, you know, now, but I was a teenager. We were teenagers just coming of age in those days. So, and pretty innocent, if I must really admit.
We were.
Yeah,
we were innocent enough to think that we could make a change, and then the 80s came, and everybody got involved in making money or moving away from all these movements. And 50 years later, we're basically addressing the same issues.
Same thing.
You know what? The thing that's good about that is that people like you and myself have the knowledge to say enough already, and we can get that word to the kids.
Right.
I think they're hearing it. I have a feeling that they are kind of fed up with the same thing that we were fed up when we were kids. And maybe it's finally going to change for the better. But listening to you sing and listen to your music is one good way to start. So
I think, yeah.
Youngins over there to see you.
The youngins, you got it. I mean, I appreciate you saying that, Scott. And I think that this music is music that any age group will identify with and get into. Um, there's a little bit of jazz, there's a little bit of soul, a little bit of, theater.
Yeah.
Um, it's we take you on a little bit of a ride in this show.
It's a great ride.
Thank
And
you.
really appreciate having seen it and having known you all of these years, and looking forward. By the way, there's this lovely Jewish girl is going to be having a Christmas show December 3rd, right? And that's also at Mama's.
That is at Mama's in the back room, the big room, at 7 p.m. It's going to be a 90-minute extravaganza.
You're going to have a bunch of guests and hauling out the holly, huh?
Yeah, well, originally, laughingly, we thought we were going to call it the Jew Does Christmas, but we've thought that we might do it in a little bit more classy of a way than that. So it's going to sort of have the vibe of the old Playboy After Dark shows, the TV show. Cool. So yeah, it's like an
nice format,
an adult evening soiree.
That's a very nice format.
But lots of fun still. So yeah, we have some fun ideas to bring to this show too. So yeah, come check it out December 3rd at DTM.
Yeah, at DTM. Tony, I think we've come to the end of another NiteLife Exchanges. I wish we could go on, but again, the problem is attention spans have gotten smaller. So we keep it
What's
nice.
That you say?
The attention, never mind.
What?
You're playing with me. All right, Tony. So listen, Goldie, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you at the show again, October 8th. We have the Bridges show, and then on December 3rd, there's a Christmas show coming up, and more dates to come later on through. So we'll see you. I'll see you at one of those shows coming up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. I had the best time. I mean, that just flew by.
It flies by. That's time flies when you have great guests. So thank you for being delightful and keep the momentum going.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you. You too. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
All righty. You take care.
Bye.